Hey guys, what's up? Welcome. My name is Jesse van Bruegel, and this is a training for six-figure coaches, consultants, service providers, and agency owners. And this training is for experts who are using LinkedIn currently, but not getting any success. And with any success, I mean more business. So this is a training where I will help you utilize LinkedIn for targeted lead generation. This strategy is part of the content system that generated more than hundreds of leads for my clients and myself per month through LinkedIn, resulting over six-figure of new revenue. How I do this, I break this down in a few other videos. You can find them in the comment section below. And also, if you're interested in me setting this system up for you, send me a message on LinkedIn and we can have a chat. With that being said, let's dive into today's training. So we're going to speak about three things today: LinkedIn behavior, the fear of public exposure, and we're going to speak about the targeted lead strategy, of course. So the first one to understand with the LinkedIn behavior is that 99% of the LinkedIn users are lurkers. So these are people who scroll through the feed but rarely post or engage with content. And with over 900 million people on the platform, you can imagine that the number of eyeballs on the platform is insane. So the people are watching your ideal clients, your ideal partners, and your ideal audience. And that's why, my friends, we need to have content that draws these qualified people in. So let's unpack how this looks. Because a common misunderstanding or misconception on LinkedIn is that successful posts are those that garner hundreds of likes and comments. This is true if you want to grow your audience or if you want to pump up the engagement analytics. However, our truth is quite different, right? Because you're here to generate high quality leads, right? I hope so, because then you're watching the right video. So now we want to look at ways, because many service providers, they attempt to generate high ticket leads through LinkedIn, but they find out that our ideal clients are not active on LinkedIn, or they don't engage with our content. And this doesn't necessarily like mean something else or imply failure, because as we can see in the case of one of my recent clients, Monica, is that with a post that has seemingly minimal engagement, 17 likes and 7 comments, so not much, resulted in 4 leads. As we can see here, the closing of the post, I will go into the call to action later in this video. But as you can see, the post resonated with the right people and called them out to action. So even though these people didn't publicly interact with the post, they did take the desired action. In this case, they moved the conversation to the private inbox and they sent Monica a message. So it's important to remember here, my friends, that our lead generating content, the true success of this piece of content is not the public engagement metrics. I will go to this in a second, but it's how effectively it moves your ideal clients from being passive observers to taking the desired action. And I spoke extensively about the three types of content: problem solving content, authority building content, and lead generating content. And I spoke about the differences about these types of content in a previous video. I will link that one in the comment section as well. So now we can see that Monica's example doesn't stand on its own, because we can also take a look at an example of a different client, Josh, who generated a 4-figure lead straight in his inbox and easily closed him. And even if we look at the exact words of this inbound leads, we see something fascinating. Hey Josh, I hope you're doing well, mate. I have seen a lot of your LinkedIn posts recently, and I would be interested in finding out a bit more about your services for e-commerce business. And that's, my friend, this is what stands out. I have seen a lot of your posts, which brings me to one of my favorite sayings for LinkedIn. You never know who is watching. And if we think back of the opening of this video, with 900-ish million users of the platform and 99% of them are just lurkers, we can just calculate how many eyeballs that are watching. So that's that we want our ideal clients to say. Hey, I've seen your post and I'm ready to take the next step. Tell me more. So why does this happen that people don't really engage or interact with your content on LinkedIn? And that comes down to the fear of public exposure. Because we can observe that most people are hesitant to engage with certain types of content due to the fear of public exposure. Because the LinkedIn and feed is set up in such a way that the moment I comment or like on someone else's post, everyone in my audience can see that. So we want to recognize this fear and designing our content in such a way that it's part of the strategy, because it is indeed a very crucial part of the strategy. So let me give an example here. Let's say my best friend is a divorce lawyer. He's an expert who posts valuable content on LinkedIn, and me as a good friend, I want to support him. So even though I don't fit his ICP and I'm happily married, I support his content. So on the other hand, my audience sees that I interact with this type of content, and they might think, oh, trouble in paradise, Jesse. And they don't know that just a matter of a friend supporting a different friend. Now, what can we say about this? The same applies to your content, the same principle, because most likely you're not here and you're not here as a divorce lawyer, but is a lens we can use to see our content and its implications through. Because the moment we discuss a problem or a pain point that our or your ideal client experiences, they might hesitate to engage publicly due to their fear of exposure. So yeah, this has nothing to do with you or your content. It's just the human nature and the reality of social media behavior. But understanding this allows us to work with it and to use it to our advantage. So our goal should not be to get our ideal clients to engage with our content publicly, but we want to get them to take action. We want to lure them out of their comfort zone, and we want to have them skip, this is important, skip the public feed and take action. And this action could be sending you a DM, joining your list, or booking a call. And these are all very legit forms of lead generation. And to back this up, I want to share two real life examples with you. As we see on the left side, we see a message that came from a lead who turned into be a client. She was like looking at my post. It's like, hey, I really like your post. I find them informative and I would love to hear more. We started chatting and I closed her on one of the cohorts that I run. And especially the one to the right is very interesting because as well, this guy, he saw my post. He's like, hey, I'm interested in the details about your cohort. I just launched his business. You tell them a little bit more about his story, his offers, his services, his track record, etc. And everything, basically what I needed to in order to for me to qualify him as a qualified lead for the cohort, I got. So within a few DMs back and forth, he paid me a full to enter the cohort. So as you can see, with the right piece of content, I lured these people out of the shadows because both of these people, they've never engaged, never liked, never commented on my content. We're not even like connected. They saw my content. It spoke to them. It spoke to their frustration. It spoke to them their challenges, and so they reach out with the right action. What the call to action I will discuss in a second. But if you need more help with shaping authority building content and lead generating content, please check out the rest of the videos in the show notes below, because in those videos I break down the different types you can use for results like this. Brings me to some housekeeping, because I want to introduce the friends favor, as I like to call it. So by this point, if you watch 2 or more videos on my channel, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel, because I put all this content out for free. So I think it would be a crazy idea to not ask for your support, right? So please, if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel and like and comment your favorite piece of content, because by doing so, I start to understand more which kind of content you like, which allows me, of course, to create more content for you, more valuable content to help you get better at lead generation through LinkedIn. So please subscribe if you're still here and you watch a few videos. All right, let me go back to the show. So it's great to have this understanding about LinkedIn behavior. It's great to understand the fear of public exposure, but how can we put these things into a strategy? And that's where we want to speak about a strategic call to action to drive we want to speak about a call to action that drives strategic engagement. And with our call to action, again, I will go into the details of these in a second. But the rule number 1 is that we want to start with a clear, specific ask. You don't want to ask 15 different things in one call to action. You want to ask yourself, hey, what is the number 1 action I would like to take, I would like to have the reader take at the end of my post? Be really specific in your request and guide your audience toward the desired action, because by doing so, you can expect messages like these. people that understand what you ask them, and they reply with the right message. So again, you get leads, very qualified leads. So in order for you to generate these leads, it can be as straightforward as inviting your audience to send you a DM, join your email list, or book a discovery call. It just depends on how you have your funnel set up. And by now, most likely you've already done the heavy lifting with your authority building content, which positions you as the expert you are and bring your ideal client closer to working with you. And the big difference between authority building content on the one side and lead generating content on the other side lies in the call to action. Again, if you need more input and details on these types of content, please check out the video below. So this is the video that I mentioned. Like, I speak about educational content, which is like problem solving content, authority building content, and lead generating content. So you can find them in the show notes below. Now I want to speak specifically about the right call to action, because the right call to action not only invites your audience to enjoy what they've shared, but also prompts them to take specific action. Again, I'm referring back to the screenshot of the DMs I got, because those people were like extremely clear about what I asked from them. Because it also makes sure that we don't want to invite everyone to our inbox. Sure, if you want to have a quick dopamine shot with like getting lots of leads but all unqualified, it's better to be selective and targeted with your invitation. And that's, my friends, that's where the qualifiers come in place, because these are specific attributes or characteristics that define your ideal client. So you can think of ways of business stats, required assets, job titles or labels, the current situation and the desired situation. And by specifically listing these out in your content, again, the right people that fit, they feel addressed, they feel attracted, and then they will send you the right message. So let me share you a few examples here. As you can see in the first one, I first call out the desired situation. So I'm kind of like having like the carrot as bait, and I'm dangling that in front of them in order for them to bite. I speak a little bit about business stats, like, hey, you need to sell a first 4-figure service. I'm speaking about a required asset, which in this case is a 2,000 plus following on LinkedIn. And I'm speaking into the current situation, like, hey, if you're fed up with current lead generating system. And the call to action, like, hey, send me a DM with the word 0606. I often use the date of the day that I'm putting the hand raiser out. I get a lot of questions about this. So that's the call to action in that case. The second one is a little bit different, because here I lead with the job title and the label, plus I include the business stat. Again, as you can see, it's a little bit mixed. I speak in the business stat, also the current situation, the required asset, and the desired situation. And I would highly recommend you to check out a few different setups and frameworks, because it's very good to just test out what works for your specific audience. And lastly, as you can see, I'm putting a few things together, and the call to action is really clear. Like, one rule of thumb for myself, and that I will highly recommend you to test out as well, is that the moment that you have the call to action, in this case, like, send me a DM with your favorite emoji, and I flick over the details, I make sure that there is no fluff around. Like, I make sure there's like a line break above it and under it, so it's clear, and I don't like hide the call to action, because people these days, they don't read, they skim, especially on LinkedIn. So we want to make sure that they see the call to action. Well, I know that's a lot. That's a lot to cover there. So let me zoom out a little bit and give you a little bit more specific things, because these are great templates in order for you to start crafting your first call to action yourself. So there is one where you can focus on desire. There is one that you can focus on the fear, and there is one that you can focus on the frustration. Or, of course, you can reverse engineer these call to actions in your own post with your unique context for your unique audience as well. So, my friends, that's the training for today. So we want to be really clear that we understand LinkedIn behavior. We want to be clear that we understand the fear of public exposure and why our ideal clients don't interact with our posts, but we want to make sure that they skip the public feed and have them through our DM inbox, our calendar link, and our email list, for example. And that's putting out everything together, which allows us for a winning strategy on LinkedIn. So we can create content, which leads to DMs, which leads to money down the road. And I'm pretty sure you're an expert at what you do, and I think the world deserves to see this. So let's go, take your shot and go for it. And again, if you need any help with creating this strategic lead generating system for your service business, don't hesitate to send me a message on LinkedIn or drop a comment below. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.